to talk about this month in the world of marketing. And you know me, I'm Pip, and this is
Rina Little from Little Works Indie Media.
this is
Phelan with Seymour Digital Media.
and lastly we have
My name is Greg with Original 72 Creative.
and today it's Rena's birthday, as you can see by the flashing birthday cake in the corner. So don't forget to wish her a happy birthday when you get a chance. And yes, we're gonna dive right in. And Rena, I guess we're gonna start with you today. So we're starting with social news.
Right.
Tell us what's going on in the marketplace.
Okay, so there are a few things that are happening. Basically, Meta's threads are beginning to roll out on the web, so you can actually have web access rather than just a phone app. And of course, this month we all noticed, and those of you that didn't realize in advance, that the news is no longer available on Facebook, and it's created quite a few interesting conversations that I've seen among my friends' lists on Facebook. The New York City bans TikTok on government devices, and there's this whole thing going around saying that they're going to ban TikTok completely, but I don't think so. I think it's just on government devices. But that's how rumors get started. TweetDeck, interestingly, rebranded itself to X Pro and now requires a subscription. And Twitter, now called X, sues researchers who shows a rise in hate speech on the platform after Musk took over. So those are some of the interesting things, and I just went through a half an hour's worth of stuff in 2 seconds.
Well, let's dig into this stuff. So I think, well, I don't know what you guys think, but what do you, the Canadians not getting news? Now, how many of us get our news from social media? Does anybody here? Yeah, right. I used to use Twitter for any outages in the area, but I get some news from TikTok now because of the satire and the it can provide. So I think it's very interesting. But that being said, maybe this will drive people away from Facebook even more and Instagram. What do you think?
No, it's just going to drive me away from news. So the thing that I liked about, I listen to the news in the morning, so I don't miss the news, but I don't consume news online. So for me, the thing that I really loved was when somebody put up an article that I thought was interesting or had started an interesting conversation on social. And so what I appreciate about that is the conversation, the back and forth with the people that I know or the friends of people that I know. And that's what I'm going to miss. So I probably won't read news online because that's just not what I like anymore moving forward. And I used to buy subscriptions just to read the news article that people were talking about. And I don't have to do that anymore either.
Huh.
Also, I just thought
I would say
we should probably just reiterate that, news, you can still get your news. It's just a case of Twitter and X and Facebook blocking the notifications in your feeds about news articles that outlets are putting out.
Well,
You can still get your news from going to whatever news sites that you'd like to see it at.
yeah. Just to clarify even further, it doesn't stop the notifications. So if you have an American friend who posts a news article, you'll still get the headline. You won't get the photo, and it will give you a notification that you can't read it on Facebook. That's what you get. So you still know that there's a headline to look for on the news outlets directly.
I think what was coming out recently because of all of our fires here in BC was the fact that quick notifications through like using Twitter or X, it was an issue because that, and I've always stated my spot where I want like immediate news, like real time news, was always going to Twitter.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to find something like happening now, that's where I
Yeah.
would go to. And so that becomes a big issue when you're in some type of a crisis, like,
Yeah.
fire evacuations and things like that, where it becomes critical to get that information.
So I have a question. Does that mean, because Phelan, you know that you have family members that work in the government and they use Twitter for a lot of what they were doing. So government has always used Twitter. Now, if with
Yeah.
this X stuff, are we going to be, so will government not use Twitter anymore then? What do you think?
It's definitely going to be, because it is even for government officials, it's their main mode of getting out like any sort of communication from like specific departments and stuff like that. Like our provincial government, that's how they get most of their posting their information to social media, is through Twitter. Uh, so it'll be, and it's been a big concern for them of how they're going to be getting that part out. The other thing to kind of keep in mind is we already have a test case of what happened with this exact law in Australia, where Facebook made a
Mm.
big huff and they weren't going to pay the tax, and then a year later they came back and that's fine.
But it's
So
different. This is different.
Yeah, this is different because it's
it's
my understanding that Google actually offered to pay for and Facebook for the actual money that was coming through ad revenue, but the government wanted all of them. They wanted to be paid for the organic posting also.
Well, and the bill already passed. So in Australia, the bill hadn't passed yet. So which kind of ties everybody's hands a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's interesting. So I guess don't get your news from social media if you're Canadian is the outcome, right?
Well, what's interesting for me, or how it's played out for me, and we haven't talked about this side of it, is what do we do when we're managing international companies or North American companies that do business in Canada and the United States? How do we handle the social media posts that we would normally be getting from news places? Because it's actually a really large, it's a much larger group of distributors that I was thinking of rather than just like straight up news. So, for example, there are a number of magazines that we use, trade magazines, where we would be sharing articles from that, and they're not showing up in right. So it's not just like
Mm.
CBC or CNN or whatever. It's actually all of these other sort of peripheral industry organized things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. So you're not going to
Yeah.
get that. So that's going to make it harder to work with some American companies potentially if you're sharing
Well,
content.
it's not harder to work with American companies. It's harder to work with companies that are in America and the United States. So,
Mm,
sorry, and
yeah,
Canada.
Canada.
So, doing two countries. So, if you're working with just an American company,
international.
you just share as normal. If you're working with a Canadian company, you remove all the news articles completely. But what about if you're like bridging that gap between both? So, you're going to
Mm.
put up news articles that half of your people, or maybe not quite so a half, but maybe like 30% or whatever, won't be able to read.
So do we
Um,
just see a blank space or do we see
yeah,
something like
what you see is I had one come in my news feed just yesterday. What you see is the title. You have a warning sort of message below that says that you can't view this, and the photo is grayed out. There's no photo. That's what you
huh,
see.
that's nice. That's nice. Hopefully this will change. So I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what the government does about this, right? And in the meantime, I guess listen to the morning news if you want the news on your Google Home. Right? I don't know. Is Google doing the same thing? They can't do that, can they? In the
Yeah,
search?
they're removing all of the indexing.
That's going to be really bad. And that's funny because TikTok's all the rage for like CBC right now because they do the little clips and they're very good, very informative. I like it.
But even on Facebook, a lot of news places were streaming, and exactly like the BC, all the health updates that we were getting on Facebook. They were all coming from Facebook. So it seems like a really strange thing to do. Where are they going to stream from? How are they going to get to the people when they have important messages?
Well, I think Facebook's going to be shooting themselves in the foot, and same with Google. I mean, did you know that Canadians use the internet or are more internet savvy than most other countries, like per capita? Like, we have more users and we spend more time online than most other countries, which is very interesting considering we have a smaller population, like a tenth of the states, right? So that's really interesting.
We also have a higher educated group of people too.
Oh, I did not know that. I just know that you wait longer to have children if you get higher education.
Yes.
Right? So that's Threads and TikTok, Facebook, and no YouTube today. No YouTube news. Do we have any other social news? Rena, you trundled through that pretty damn quick. Your social news. TweetDeck. Do we even care? What is TweetDeck, Rena?
I haven't even thought about that in a long time. TweetDeck was one of the original schedulers for Twitter and places where you could monitor multi-accounts before you could even add, how you go to Twitter, you can add about 5 accounts to each account, so you can switch between them. Mm-hmm. So people used to use TweetDeck, and then Hootsuite came out, and then a lot of people, especially in this area, because it was a BC-based company or Vancouver-based company, a lot of people jumped onto Hootsuite, and it was a lot cheaper at the time when it first came out. And then I never heard about TweetDeck. Pardon?
Do we like Hootsuite anymore? I'm not a big fan, but I never was.
I'm not. Well, I still use it actually for a lot of my clients because it's the only place where you can bulk upload tweets, but I don't love it. No.
Greg, do you use it?
I have used it for a couple of clients and myself for a while, and I was never really, really happy with
it. They made it. They did whatever I think we were complaining about this off on a different call, but what they did was what all of the other designers do, where they create a nice streamline. Like the first episode of everything is really nice and streamlined and very well developed, so you can do things quickly. And then you get a designer involved that decides you have to open up another tab or open up another section or whatever it is to add this thing in. And then so it becomes not fast anymore. It becomes a whole job. I think FreshBooks did that. Hootsuite did that. A bunch of them did that. It makes me crazy. And so Hootsuite did do that. And so I still use the old editor, but I think they just pulled that away. The second thing that they did was they took all of the people that had originally got on a legacy account for $6.99 a month and increased it to, I think it ended up being almost $100 a month in one increase from $6.99 to $100, which really ticked me off. So yes, not happy with them.
I bet you a lot of people have. That kind of leads us right into our next topic, which was WooCommerce and the changes going on there. Greg, I know you are not loving this, but let's you two head it off, all three of you, with opinions on. So it's WooCommerce. What's going on there, and what's going on with WordPress first, I guess. Greg.
Well, with WordPress, the latest version of WordPress 6.3 was released last week on the 8th, I believe it was. So if you have automatic updates turned on, your site has probably updated by now. Or if you're on a host that automatically upgrades you to the latest version, you may be on that. Hopefully you didn't see any issues. I haven't come across any issues myself with any customers, but I have seen in news feeds people who have had some problems, most of them I believe relating to caching issues, which will lead me into anytime you have anything updated on your site, always clear your cache, because that's one of the big reasons why you might go to your site and see an issue is because a cached version of the site is being pulled up in conjunction with some of the new software causing problems. So
now, can you explain what caching does?
Well,
just
caching,
for anybody that doesn't know.
Yeah, caching basically stores a local copy of your site files. so that your browser will load it quicker. And there's server cache and there's browser cache. And so it's all meant to try to load your site as quick as possible. And so there could be, if you don't see something on your site and you know you made a change, for instance, um, usually clearing your cache will prompt the browser to get a fresh copy of the site from the server and show you the change that you made. But it's the same thing for new software that you get updates for. If you have anything cached, especially if you're using a caching plugin in your WordPress, and it's caching all of the site files, and if things change, you update something, you'll want to clear the cache or recache all of the newer software after you make those updates. And that typically clears up so many issues that you might have. But I have noticed a lot of people who have upgraded this version having that issue and having to go and clear their cache.
So it came out, the update 6.3 came out on the 8th. Today is the 20th. Did it come out on the 8th?
I believe the 8th, yes.
So is this the amount of time you usually wait to do updates of your sites? 3 weeks after the launch or release?
I typically don't do updates to the major WordPress releases right away. Usually a week to 2 weeks after, I'll take care of it. And within that week to 2 weeks, if there were any issues, they come out with like .1 or .2 releases and that'll save you a lot of headaches from doing it right away. And being one of those people who have that issue temporarily, and you have to roll back and things like that. So yeah, about a week to 2 weeks, I'll wait to see if there are any small fixes after a major release.
Okay. And there's some WooCommerce. Now I know you and Rina were talking about this earlier this week. And so they launched, what did they launch, Rina? They launched Express thing?
Express. Yeah, they launched Woo Express, which is a hosted WooCommerce store, and it's a Shopify competitor. So basically, you're not installing the WooCommerce plugin onto a WordPress site. It is a self-hosted thing and pretty easy to organize. It's code-free site editing, so basically drag and drop. They have their own support on there, just like Shopify does. They have themes that you choose from and implement, and it also comes with advertising and marketing tools built right into it. Yeah, and they say plus many other business boosting features. So we'll see what that looks like. I have yet to see one, but
we all have. Everybody I think knows as because we've talked about it before. If you don't, there is WooCommerce.com, which is a service. WordPress.com, which is a service. You can sign up and get a WordPress site, and everything's hosted on WordPress.com. Or there's WordPress.org, the free version, self-hosted, that you can take. Now, the WooCommerce, the new Woo Express, is actually handled by WordPress.com. So I think it's going to be a similar, because WordPress.com did have a tier that they called Commerce, but I think this Woo Express is their attempt to more compete with Shopify, like Rina said. And they're branding it Woo Express, but it's part of WooCommerce. It's part of WordPress.com, which is that you sign up for that service, and it's all branded and geared to be that better competitor to Shopify.
Now, with that, you all said that there was some sort of update with the regular WooCommerce, which has some issues with editing screens and things like that for ease of use. Is that right?
I wouldn't say issues. For me, more preference. But I think it is. It's currently in beta, but it is in WooCommerce now. So if you have the latest, you can go into your settings and go to the advanced tab, I believe it's called, and there is a checkbox to try out the new product editor. And it clearly says it's beta. So maybe try it out on a development site if you have a development site for your website. Maybe not the best time to activate it on your real site yet. I do have some screenshots that I can share showing people the new editor. But like we said in our prep talk, I'm not a big fan of it because it is a tabbed layout. So there's a tab for your general settings where you go through and you'll set that stuff, and then there's a tab for pricing, and you'd have to go to that, and then you fill in your pricing info. So there's four tabs for all of this stuff, whereas the current one maybe old school because the layout and the UI doesn't look amazing. It's very standard WordPress looking, but everything is right there on the page when you go in to edit a product, as opposed to this one being way more spaced out, a lot more white space, and they're gearing it towards having a step through for people who really don't know exactly what they might be doing, to make it a little bit more clear for the novice user, I'd say.
Interesting how they're gearing it towards the end user, like the business owner or somebody on the in the business's team versus like the web dev. Rina, have you used it? Do you like it?
No, I don't use it too much. I actually have people who do it for me. So I have uploaded products not that long ago. I just don't think I've done anything with this particular update. It's not that hard once you get your head around it.
Just annoying. But,
yeah, it's just
more cumbersome. Phelan, have you looked at it?
No, I haven't. I've mostly been doing Shopify stuff and just digging into that part of it. I wanted to say as well, it wasn't in the notes because it got announced after we did our prep. But there is an August core update for Google for SEO.
Oh, moving into search, people. Moving into search. What's going on there? What's going on there?
It just got announced, so no one really has a bunch of data on who's going to be affected on it. They just said that Google has officially announced that there is a core update.
Is it rolling out or has it happened already?
Google announces the rollout, so it'll take weeks to complete. And
I'm believing so. Yeah. This is the time where you have to watch what's going on in Search Console, Google Analytics to see if there's a big drop. Sometimes you're on the wrong side of the algo update, right? Did I just sound super cool with my slang there? Just saying. I'm not old. Wait,
what does algo mean?
Yeah, right. Algorithm. Come on now, Greg. So we had actually a client, Phelan, what was the phrasing the client used in their feedback?
Inspo. Inspiration.
Right. Different language now. But I think we're going to be on the wrong side of the update this time around because we have to actually update our site. It is time to make some big changes. I don't know, like marketing's changing so quick with the AI stuff that I think looking at your strategies is really important right now with everything you're doing. Google Ads is updating their interface. So more things, new things. We're seeing different changes, right? The AI stuff in there. Yeah, go on.
Well, the Google Ads also has there's two new campaign types. One is completely brand new, and it is for people who it's called demand generation, and it's meant for mid to lower funnel. And it takes over your discovery ads, and so now they're going to be more intent based, and they're supposed to be around like lead forms, so forms that within YouTube and Gmail, and it's supposed to be gathering people's information right there, and you can like have it's going to have images, it's going to have video, so the ads, their ads platform has really been doing a big shift over to video content as well, so that's going to be interesting to see how that works out in the long run. So that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, it's good for Facebook. So all those Facebook advertisers who got kind of messed with when their cost per conversion doubled, some of the Google or Facebook ads creators moved over to YouTube, didn't they? Because it's a similar type of advertising from what I hear. I don't know. Rina, have you done Facebook or have you done YouTube ads?
Yes. We run YouTube ads for one client in particular. And I can't really speak to that because, again, I have somebody who takes care of that on my team.
We're starting to run more and more YouTube ads, right? Because it fits into the mix with the Performance Max advertising, which is the newest auto-generated ads, right? Phelan, tell us about PMax.
And Performance Max campaigns are basically, they're kind of becoming the big catch-all for once you've kind of learned search that you're doing Performance Max. The big area that they want to emphasize is like your e-commerce, right? So it's handling your shopping, but it's also handling your YouTube, discovery, Gmail, and display.
And marketing, it's also supposed to be helping.
Well, it's supposed to help you with, they call it prospecting and retargeting. So it's not only like it does kind of top of funnel and then it gets people to click on things, and then it also is supposed to do some retargeting as well. And because you'll have audiences based on like visitors to pages or lookalike to converters, there's you could do different audience signals. It's very automated. It's also taken over for call-only campaigns are now only done through Performance Max, and also your local business ads. So you'd have in-store visit ads. That's also been taken over by Performance Max. And there's a couple other types that they've just all display is going to go away as well. And so same for dynamic search ads. Those are all going to become Performance Max campaigns.
Interesting how it's changing, right? So it's a good time to really get involved with Google Ads. I have to say, because of the changes. So you can hold on to some of the old stuff, but you move into this new strategies, new ideas, right? Old ways, things like SKAGs, single keyword ad groups, no longer work really well. It's very interesting. And oh, who's got the background? Who's got the background going? Did you guys hear that? Was it me?
Yeah, I hear it. I don't know who it is.
I believe I'm blaming Rina because it's her birthday. Got to blame somebody. And it's her birthday. So, and I think that's the basic news. Unless you guys have anything else to add. Oh, anything about how much we love Elon Musk and how great he's doing at his job running TikTok? That's kind of funny. Running Twitter. I liked the name Twitter, just so you know. Like,
because he's getting rid of the blocks. He's getting rid of the block feature. That's the one thing that came up. Why is that not on my list? He's getting rid of blocking people, which is going to be terrible for people who are targeted in any kind of way. And interestingly enough, people that complained about taking away the blocks, he blocked them, which I don't even know if he his own actions. Like, he's pretty funny. Like, I think, is this comedy? I'm not sure.
I feel like the blocks are going to be taken away, except he will be able to block anyone he likes.
It's his party, that's for sure.
They can't really write this stuff, Like, it's
too on the nose.
Yeah, what were you telling us about how that's against the policies of? Yes.
Oh, it is a complete violation of Apple and Google's app store policy. Like, you can't have that as a feature. You need to have that. It's like one of the, they don't have many requirements, but that's one of them. And in order to pass their system check. So it'll most likely mean that, most likely, Tim Cook is kind of quietly messaged him saying, like, you can't do that.
And with that, we are out of time. Out of time. What's going on for next week? Anybody? I was practicing my auctioneer stuff.
Reporting and expectations in marketing.
Rina
and Pip.
We're gonna have the best time. Who doesn't want to talk about reporting and expectations? I mean, I'm all over. Oh. All right. Well, pardon?
It's very important. It's a very important conversation.
It is. I'm going to really enjoy it. Screw you, Greg. We will see you all next week. If you're catching us in the Facebook group, if you're not catching us in the Facebook group, we're in Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. Head over there. Join us live in there. Super good time. And we'll see you next week.
The Facebook group. Cyberpunk
Geeks
Marketing Mixer.
Geeks Speak. Yes.
Facebook. Okay.
I should have let you do that. Okay, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.